Oops. Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. So, who here has felt like they've had some challenges with buyers since this whole crazy settlement? Anybody? You know, when I start thinking about just this whole settlement and everything else, one, it was inevitable. This was just bound to happen at some point, right? Because the idea that every agent, regardless of experience, knowledge, technology, resources, teams, support, all gets paid the same amount of money is crazy to begin with, right? And so what we're seeing with our clients is the most skilled agents that are able to clearly communicate what they offer in exchange for what somebody else actually wants, they're actually earning more money. So I believe I've been talking about, I don't know, this whole NAR settlement, what the world was going to be like for maybe 2 years before it happened. Yes, years. And so we have a really unique set of training in alignment with this. So this is the foundation. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. All right, building strong beginnings. So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to go through the 7 keys of effective conversations, why pre-qualifying, Med C, and the magic question. And I promise you, your entire tuition for this entire year will get a positive ROI from that one question. Bold statement, but guarantee that it's true. Utilizing AI, framing, pre-qualifying, the magic question, your Compass CRM, putting it together. And look, this is a good example. We got many people that sent emails yesterday saying, well, what do I do with the information? So now we've added a learning application of exactly what to do at the end of this session, and we'll walk you through that. So let's go through the 7 keys of effective conversations. You'll never hear this enough. And no matter how many times I tell it to you, this is an area we all, me, myself, and I included, have improvement. So if you look at this, it's a framework on how to talk to people, specifically in sales and generally in your life, if you want to help another person achieve something. So, many times, whether it's our kids, our partners, our clients, we have this idea that we can get people to do something, right? So key number 1, actually, it's always their choice. I can't call Paige Doley and tell her, Paige, you're coming to my office today. You're going to sign a buyer's exclusive agreement and we're going to go out and find you a house. That's not how it works. Buying a home is a personal decision, whether you find the right home, the right neighborhood, the right price point, interest rates. There's a variety of different things that go into this. So as soon as you can accept it's their choice, you understand that your role in the transaction is a facilitator. I always say that real estate agents suffer for what I call main character syndrome, right? They think they're the main character. Your job in a real estate transaction is to be the director and make sure all the things happen at the right time with the right people. Key number 2, the person asking the questions controls the conversation. If you're talking the entire time, you're playing defense. You're constantly, it's like a back and forth match. You're going to ask you something, you're going to answer. They're going to ask, you're going to answer. And a lot of times we'll find ourselves talking too much, defending ourselves, trying to justify our value. And at the end, we generally feel depleted, like we're not enough. Maybe it wasn't the right client. Maybe I did something wrong. It's completely unnecessary, right? And also asking questions. I always say, if you want a different outcome or you want a different output or you want different information, ask a different question. One great question changes another person's experience. And by asking questions and controlling the conversation, it allows you to focus solely on the prospect. Number 3 and number 4, always, everything you say or do has to be in benefit of the other party, and you always want to be in agreement. No one wants to hire somebody that's not in agreement. So here's a great example. I don't want to overpay for a home. And now you're in a market where every home is going highest and best. Well, what do you normally say? Well, these are the rates and blah, blah, blah. And these are the homes and we'll help. It's great. I would say, Alex, I completely understand you want to overpay for a home. That's a terrible feeling. So would it be okay if you could share with me what the right deal was for you and your family, and that we could look at the market through the eyes of your goals and expectations? Wow, that sounds really different than like the normal jargon, right? Like the ability to effectively communicate with people. And I'm just going to walk you through this because you're all going to be curious. Well, Chirag, what do I do next? I would show them 3 months worth of comps. And then I would ask them, instead of explaining to them, do you see any of the right deals for you and your family that you feel like you don't overpay? No. I'd go back 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. The deals are never there because they made this up in their mind, right? And then I would turn around and say, based on the fact that the right type of deal that you felt that you didn't overpay has not been available, or maybe one or two only have been available in the last 2 years, how can I best support you going forward? It's like paying chess, check. And I have a line or a frame or a script or a conversation guide for every single scenario in your business like this. Number 5, no telling, no explaining, no being combative. No one wants a salesperson that they're going to pay a multiple, a 5-figure commission to argue with them, right? Like as soon as you do this, all the report's gone. Number 6, never show you're attached to the outcome, right? It doesn't matter what they do. Actually, the less attached you are, tell especially a luxury person that they can't afford something or they can't buy something, and you do a takeaway close, you're going to push even harder. I don't think this is the right house for you. Right? Think about it. $10,000 in a mortgage is like $60, $70 a month, right? And if a person would go out to dinner and they wouldn't like go to McDonald's and they just go to a restaurant, but they wouldn't pay that money for their house, odds are they shouldn't buy it. And if you frame the conversation that way and say, you know what, let's just meet in my office on Saturday, we'll start all over again. If you're going to go out to dinner and not going to buy this house, I don't feel comfortable with you buying it. It's amazing how words and questions change everything. And number 7, there are people that have no business in any part of your calendar, any part of your life, any part of anything, because you're completely unrealistic. Our job is not to solve the unsolvables or help the unhelpables. It's for people that have a real reason to want to move in a stipulated period of time and that have the financial means to do it. Because here's the thing, if you take clients out that are like that, all it takes is one well-trained salesperson to make the person realize, like, why would somebody bring you out like that? A deal like that hasn't been available for 2 years. Like, you're wasting your time, right? So these are just some things to think about in the context of this. Now, here is the buyer's and agent's dilemma. If you look at a buyer, it's like, will I feel a home? Will I find a home? Sorry, I have a typo. Will I find a home that makes my family feel at home? Can I see my kids growing up and making memories here? Will I be able to afford what I want? Will I like my neighbors? Will my home hold its value? How can I find a home and move with my busy schedule? Like, is this close enough to my job? These are all the things that they're thinking about, right? Life, disruptions, finances, comfort, lifestyle, being still able to afford things. And we show up, it's like, I have exclusive access to listings before they hit the market. I have deep knowledge in this community and everything else. I have great technology that'll have a better experience. I can negotiate the best deal for your home. And my favorite one is, I have your best interest at heart. Like, you think that I don't have my best interest at heart? Or other ones that people say, I'm going to be your advocate. People have PTSD and trauma, like the disappointments. You know who also has advocates? Children that go to court that can't speak for themselves. So if they've ever had an experience like this, you're going to trigger them, right? Like, I can advocate for me. And can I share with you all the 100 things they do as a buyer's agent? Don't ever list that in your listing or buyer consultation, please. Because it has nothing to do with actually what somebody wants, right? And everyone wants something different. Everyone's home buying journey is unique. Now, I'm a big believer in how it starts is how it goes. Pre-qualifying is the only way to understand what a buyer wants with an agent they partner with. There's a difference of buying a service and having a partner. Partners do things together. Partners think ahead, right? Do you know, like, how much a real estate transaction for a buyer happens in real time? Like, they're Jack Bauer on 24 and the clock's ticking like doot, 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 doot. Paige, is your market highest and best right now? Yes, no, maybe so. Yes. Okay, perfect. So if her market is highest and best and she doesn't help her buyer identify an attorney, an escrow agent, a home inspector, all the people that she needs, and then explain, because the average days on market is blank, when you do find a home, these are all the things that have to happen. And if you want to win a home in this market, they have to happen in this stipulated period of time. This is when these things need to get done. These are what the contingencies are. And I want to share this with you today because this should be a great experience for you. And if I didn't share this with you today, it's going to feel like it's rushed, it's overwhelmed, that I don't care, that I just want a commission, and I don't want to think about any of those things. It's all about you. This is what pre-qualifying and having a great consultation does, right? Like, what are the benefits? It's a personalized approach. You can meet them where they are, and it actually shows that you have a process, right? And ultimately, out of all of these things, now think of all the resources that you have at Compass, on your teams, yourself, your market knowledge, all those things you had in the column and more. You don't need every single tool with every single client. You don't need to overwhelm them with all this stuff, because when they hear everything, they see nothing, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Now let's talk about the iceberg. We above the iceberg have all these thoughts of what buyers want, right? You know what sunk the Titanic, that ship there in the picture? Is what was underneath the iceberg. It wasn't the iceberg, it was what was underneath, right? What sinks all of us in rapport, conversations, getting our compensation agreement signed, getting exclusive buyer's rep signed, is these four things that are underneath the surface. And these are the four drivers of human behavior. If one of these things are unsatisfied in your brain, you will not move forward. It's where all the stalls come from. I need to talk to my partner. I need to think about it. I'm not sure. I want to interview other people. I don't know if you're the right agent. We all need a system and a process that accounts for everything. So what is the MEDC? M stands for motivation. The second part of it's what you're most excited about as a direct result. E's expectations, D's disappointments, C's concerns. When you joined this coaching program, was there something that motivated you to come here? Absolutely. Was there something that you were excited about as a direct result? It could be growing your business, having more confidence, working less. The list goes on and on. It's different for everybody. Did you have expectations of me and your coach in the way that I would show up for you throughout an entire year? Absolutely. Have you had past disappointments with other coaches that impacted your decision either to sign up, invest money, or put time into this week after week? 100%. And do you have concerns? Everybody does. Fear, doubts, worries, things that keep you up at night. Is this right for me? Am I going to like the style? Do I have the time to do it? Is this going to work on my market? My clients are different. My favorite ones are, my market's different. My clients are different. In the end, they're all people buying houses, right? Like it's not that different. Certain markets have local nuances that make it different, right? But in the end of the day, if you look at the highest luxury services and experiences in the world, I don't care where you go in the world, it's the same thing, right? Like the Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons doesn't change their process of a luxury client experience depending where they are in the world and what market they're in, but they sure as heck know how to tailor that experience to a person to make it feel like it was built for them. So let's talk about motivations, right? Do you know that these pre-qualification questions, especially in the tonality that people use, sound more like an FBI interrogation? So when are you looking to move? How soon do you want to be there? Have you been pre-qualified? Like, come on, give me a break. How much money do you have? Like, think about how many of us are married and have partners, and the first time you talked about somebody you wanted to spend your entire life with and you were romantically involved, you talked about money. It is a weird conversation, right? There's certain awkwardness. Mine is mine, yours is yours, what's ours, how are we going to do it? And now you're meeting a complete stranger. How much do you make in your job? How much do you have in savings? What's your down payment? It's freaking crazy. Like, you have to earn the right to do that, right? And you have to put the broccoli behind the steak. So when we get into buyer consultations, we'll tell you how to talk about money in a thoughtful way where they'll want to share everything. Right. So I would say moving is not fun nor something people wake up in the morning and are excited to do. So what makes this the right time to make a move? Right. Then you listen to what they say. You echo back, and we'll talk about that. Repeat a couple words back as the person feels listened to. Right. They feel connected with. Then I would say, sorry, I skipped ahead. So as a direct result of moving to Florida, what are you most excited about happening? Now, once they tell you what makes this the right time to make a move, along with what they're most excited about as a direct result of moving, you have activated their pleasure point in their cortex. They're like, oh, wow, she really cares about why I'm doing this, where I want to go, what are the great things that happen. Then you transition into the next question. What are your expectations of an agent you partner with for the purchase of your home? Shocking. If you ask them the question, they're going to tell you exactly what they want. Everyone wants something. I don't care if you go to a restaurant, Home Depot, you come here, everyone has a set of expectations in their mind. It is human. And then when they share that, you echo back a couple words. Okay, so your expectations are on off-market property, communication, understanding the process. Additionally, what are your expectations around communication, right? Because if they don't bring it up, you want to ask. Because communication is the number one complaint amongst customers, right? My agent was bad. Just remember this rule. Like if you promised them something and they had to follow up with you about it, you failed, right? That's why you have to get away from words like tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. It doesn't matter. If you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm thinking I'm getting something by 8 o'clock. There are other people that wake up by 9 and the morning's 11 o'clock. It's not clear. It's not concise and sure as hell not quantifiable, right? So you're going to want to say, is this okay if I get it to you by 10 a.m. tomorrow? Right? So you set an expectation and then under promise, over deliver. The next one, in an effort to meet and exceed your expectations, Alex, it's important to understand what disappointments you had in the past working with any agents or service providers so we can ensure they don't happen during this process. If you ever want to know how to build rapport with a person, this is it. If you've never met me in your life, I would bet with odds in your favor, 100 to 1 that you've never asked anyone this question. Do you know how much people open up when you ask them this? Because no one cares. Because we're all too busy telling them all the things that we have, all the things you're going to get, and all the things that we're going to do, that none of these things even come up. And then all of a sudden you do something small, which seems innocent and normal, and it's like stepping on a landmine. And the last one is, what concerns you have in making a move at this time? And you want to think about it. If we're talking about Paige's market, is it low inventory? Is it interest rates, not having a place to go? You want to bring what you know are all the objections or hidden concerns to life, because if not, these things will bite you in the butt later. 100%. It's like when you sell somebody a house and you did all the things, you got them a grade above asking offer. They're like, can't take this offer. What do you mean you can't take the offer? I don't know where I'm going to go. Oh. And then you're all mad, like, how come you didn't tell me this? Because it's your job to ask. It's your fault. In real estate, we need to adopt this principle of extreme ownership. Everything is your fault. And if you go back to the business planning session and you click the trackers in there of the client objections and concerns, if you're actively tracking these things, every time you work with a client, it's going to get better for the client and better for you, which equals higher conversion rates, more referrals, and most importantly, more time back into your life. Most people don't do this. Now, here's the magic question, right? Now, when this whole NAR settlement came out, we have our Med-C, which is like 500 light years ahead of what any other human on earth knows is a pre-qualifying process for a real estate transaction or literally any transaction. But then I started thinking and I was like, I need like a question. Like I need like a magic question that every client could ask to understand exactly what an agent wants, right? And you go through pre-qualifying, you want to ask this one other question, and this is the best question in the world. What do you envision an agent doing for you that you feel you can't do on your own? They're going to sit down and in their brain, remember when you ask questions, it triggers a specific response, right? So they're going to start thinking, okay, what do I feel I can't do on my own? I feel like I can find properties. I feel like I can go to open, and they're going to tell you, right? So do you know what you just did here? You created the gap, right? You've created the gap in what they feel they can do for themselves, what you know you can do from them, and what they're looking for from you specifically. Hit yes if you feel that you could use this question right away and it's going to make a positive impact. So you know what the other great thing about this question is? One client came back to me last year, says, you know what my client told me? They go, what? They said nothing. I said, great. So they're not really your client. They don't want a real estate agent, right? They don't. And not everyone wants that type of personalized service. There's certain ethnicities, and I'm Indian, so I can speak to this, that the people just want to go house to house and cut down the commission. Like they're going to just, even though the agent has to do both sides of the commission, they want to just give I want half the commission, right? It's okay. if people don't want to work with you. And a lot of times that we end up in these bad situations is because we don't do any prospecting. So we have to work with anybody because our mind says we have clients, we're busy, we're not broke. Like, and in the end, you're actually wasting time, money, resources. You're mentally getting beaten down because you feel inadequate and like, you have, what would be the word? Inferiority complex or imposter syndrome. Like, this has nothing to do with you because what someone does is their choice, right? So take this question and use it all the time, right? Like, this is a great question for FISBO. This is a great question before you even start a buyer consultation. Oops. All right, utilizing AI. Everyone should get, where'd my box go? Somebody stole my box. A plug note. Let me pull this up for all of you. Plug note. This. You could put this around your neck. They have bracelets. They have little thin ones that go on the back of your phone. Now, what will a plug note do? A plug note is a ChatGPT 4.0 AI voice recording software that will record everything that somebody says, right? Now, everyone always says, do I need to tell my clients I'm being recorded? Sure, you can tell them I'm being recorded. Some people just don't care because they know it's better for the client. But I would say, hey, Alex, would it be okay if I utilize AI to enhance your experience to make sure that every detail that you share is captured and we're able to follow through on every promise we make to you? They're going to be like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Great. So meet my friend Claude. Claude is a AI voice recording device. So when we're having a conversation today, I can just really be present, listen, and have the conversation that you want to have. And then I can send you a recap email of everything we talked about, all of the next steps, and everything that we discuss will be aligned and built into a plan and our calendars. Would that be okay? Who's going to say no to that? And if they say no, major red flag, right? And some people do have personal stuff that they don't want recorded and just say, hey, look, at any point when you get to that place, just let me know. I'll turn the recording off and turn it on, because all the details of what you want in a home, your lifestyle, inside of the house, outside of the house, locations, action steps, things we're going to sell you, they all need to be documented, because I can either listen or listen to take notes. But if I'm listening to take notes, I'm not really listening at all, right? Look, technology has changed everything. We need to lean in, right? This thing costs $200 for the year. I have no affiliation or anything. Every one of my team members, they know when I call them, they literally go, hold on, I have to turn my blood note on. They record everything. Now, here's the six keys to effective pre-qualifying. Number one, you have to frame the question, right? Which is really setting the stage. Listen to listen. Echoing back is repeating a couple words they say. Recapping the conversation. Never say what you're going to do. Resist the urge when they're like, I just want an agent to give me off-market opportunities. We have these private exclusives and coming, don't do it, please. It takes away from the entire process. This is a very, very well thought out, curated experience that gets a very triggered outcome. So framing is essentially setting the stage for the conversation, right? So in this thing is, would it be okay if I asked you a few really important questions so we could solely focus our time talking about what's most important to you? The only thing that they heard is solely focus our time talking about what's most important to me. Now we get into listening to listen. If you're able to capture all the notes, you can listen and don't listen to respond, right? Just take it all in. The more you ever hear the saying, I talk so much, you solved all my problems. You listen so well, you solved all my problems, right? The more the buyers talk, the more likely they're going to hire you, the more likely they're going to be understood, and the more likely you're going to get the commission you want and the agreement you want signed. Echoing. So, I really want to move to Florida because we're retiring and we want to save on New York State city tax. Oh, great. So you're moving because you're retirement. You also want tax savings, right? So repeat back a couple words and then go to the next question. Recapping the conversation. So this is where you get to the next level of the Med-C. Now, for all of you that say it's new, I would literally print this out and I'd read it to people off a piece of paper. better than not doing it. I'll tell you that's for sure. I'd say, great. So your motivation is moving to Florida because you want to save on state and local New York City tax. What you're most excited about happening is working with your financial planner. You've identified those tax savings will allow you to go on 3 vacations that you've dreamed of your entire year. Your expectations of an agent or somebody who could manage the selling and buying process and help you find your next home before you find a new one. Your disappointments with past agents were around just communication, overall strategy, where you felt that you were doing all the work and constantly playing catch up, which led your partner to be anxious. Your concerns are really finding a home because there's low inventory here and your house is going to sell quickly here in Chicago, and where you're going in Florida and your specific neighborhood has the same problem, right? And what you envision an agent doing for you that you can't do yourself is blank. Is there anything else did I hear and listen to everything you said correctly? Do you feel anything you're going to add on? Do you know if you're able to do that, you've won the client? Like, it's your deal to lose. No one is able to do that. Like, nobody. I don't care who you're competing with. There's an emotional feeling at the end of it that says you're right for me. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Please, for the love of God, it's going to be like sharks seeing blood. They're going to want to pounce it. Do not talk about anything. In the Med-C and Magic question, they should not have any idea of how you're going to solve their problems and get them what they want. Pre-qualifying script, we'll give you a script, frame the conversation, ask the Med-C, recap the conversation, and the magic question. Some people recap the conversation, then ask the magic question. Other people do it vice versa. Pick which one you want. I will be running Cherish's accountability session for those of you who do want to hop in a few minutes. And so we'll go through and we'll actually practice this and talk more about scripting, dialogue, and everything else. Compass CRM, just take our thing and just follow these directions, right? Put the buyer in, groups or leads. Now, the thing about tags that's really important, I'm going to write a buyer has not purchased, neighborhood, price point, buyer consultation year. Have you noticed neighborhood and price point are the same for seller and buyer? Why am I telling you to do that? Because if somebody has not sold or not listed what the tag was from yesterday and not purchased, you can literally match people together in your CRM that might be a great off-market deal, and you can double on the deal. Everything we do has a plan and a purpose, and it integrates, right? Make sure you put the Med-C into the note section so you have it forever, whether it's in the transaction or going back, and everything important they tell you. I don't care if they tell you about their dog, the cat, their sister, whatever it is. Put it in the note section, because this is the way that you have information to continue conversations with them after, and you don't have amnesia. And every time you promise something, make it as a task and say by the time. So when you click the tax button, you know all the things you're going to do, the promises you made, and the times you have to deliver them. This is what it looks like in your CRM. This is nothing like novel. Putting it all together, get a applaud note, pre-qualify every buyer, record the conversation, send a recap email. At the bottom of the recording, we made a template for a recap email where you can take their Med-C and the magic question and put it in there, right? Now, there are different types of recaps. So we're going to give you options, and based on your client, how you work, that's what you're going to do. And with 1 minute left, here are your action steps. I would read the script 3 to 5 times a day at minimum so you become familiar with the words. Come to an accountability session, find role play clients. You will never be good at anything that you don't practice, and repetition creates confidence and mastery. And you have to put time in your client calendar to do this. So that was our feature presentation today. I'm going to get a link now for those of you who would like to join me in the accountability session. So let me ask you all a question. Who here got something of value today? Hit yes in chat that you feel like you could use right away. And you can say no too, because then you will be getting a call from me, because I want to curiously know. Look, this is work for thousands of people, right? And the whole goal of this is to make your life simple. There's nothing icky about this. There's nothing combative. There's nothing like sales sleazy or anything else like that. Like, in the end of the day, each step will give you another thing that you can use in your business right away. And just understand this from the beginning. You're going to have to hear this more than once. You're going to have to practice this more than once. And this is an ongoing commitment of mastery. Steph Curry does not stop shooting free throws, even though he makes 93% of them. So even if you're getting 90% of your pitches or buyers, why would you stop practicing? And if you're practicing only on your clients, that is a horrible business model. Like take the time, go on the screen time section of your phone, see where you're wasting time in a day, hint, hint, social platforms, and put the time back into you. You're the greatest investment you'll ever have in your life. So let me just get the link for the prospecting session and we'll hop on to the next. So I am Cherish's guest host today. So everyone take a moment. If you want to hop over there, click the link. I'm going to stay here to give everyone a chance. So if you want to understand how to role play, practice the script, Cherish is not here. So I will be her guest host for the day.
Chirag, can I
And
ask you a quick question?
yep.
Raj, what if you have a buyer
Shoot.
questionnaire with some with questions that um, include some of the questions that you had included earlier, or do you not recommend sending a buyer questionnaire
I would
before
have
a
this
conversation?
conversation first in the buyer questionnaire. I'd use to detail more about the experiences they want to have inside a house, outside of the house, lifestyle preferences, specific proximity to schools, coffee shops, work. Like as they're filling this out and you have those personalized questions, number one, it sets up a whole different conversation. Two, it tells you exactly how to tailor your comments and collections. And number three, they're gonna be like, wow, he really cares because it's not the same garbage that they get from everybody else.
Yeah. And just to follow up to that, do you like buyer questionnaires? Do you think they're valuable or not?
It all depends on the person, right? Like, so I would ask them, would it be helpful if I gave you a list of questions that kind of prompts the things you're thinking about so you can put them all down in one place? Or would you prefer if I just asked you the questions? All right, I got to hop into this accountability session. So I will see you all soon. And like, look, based on what you're saying, like, I think once a month we should add an Ask Me Anything session, right? Where you can just write down your questions and we will go. So Laura, stay on here just so people can click the link. I'm going to hop on to the next one. So let me just make Laura the host. All right. See you on the other side.